In the last instalment, we looked at defector-backed shortwave stations that broadcast propaganda, news and information into North Korea from the safety of South Korea using transmitter sites located across Central Asia. In this episode, we'll be looking at the state-backed propaganda war between the divided Korean nations. I've intentionally omitted Voice of Korea from any of these videos because I covered it extensively in another video which you can find in the description. Radios are permitted in North Korea as long as they're tuned to only receive transmissions from government radio stations. Foreign nations and journalists are usually portrayed as liars seeking to destabilize the regime. Those who listen to foreign broadcasts take a significant risk. Under North Korean law, listening to unauthorized foreign broadcasts and possessing dissident publications are considered crimes against the state that carry serious punishments, including hard labor, prison sentences, and even the death penalty. North Korea began clandestine broadcasts into South Korea in 1967, 2 hours daily on 760 kHz medium wave and 5210 kHz shortwave. The station claimed to be the voice of a South Korean underground organization, the voice of the Democratic People's Federation for the Liberation of South Korea. On August 15, 1969, the station announced that an underground political organization called the Revolutionary Party for Reunification had been set up in Seoul. On January 15, 1970, the station took the name The Voice of the Revolutionary Party for Reunification. On March 1, 1973, it began broadcasting 6 hours a day. By 1975, broadcasts expanded to 12.5 hours a day, and in 1976, the medium wave transmitter increased power to 1500 kilowatts. The station's interval signal, Song of Dear Leader Comrade, went on to be used by Pyongyang FM. On July 27, 1985, the Revolutionary Party for Reunification changed its name to the National Democratic Front of South Korea. On August 8, 1985, the station was renamed The Voice of Nation Saving, and a week later, North Korea began a second clandestine broadcast called Echo of the Masses, pretending to broadcast from Seoul. A 3-hour daily broadcast was later increased to 9 hours. In early July 1989, it was confirmed that this station had been merged into the organization of The Voice of Nation Saving, probably because of a change in DPRK policy towards South Korea. The Echo of the Masses opened its transmissions with a folk song Arirang, as well as a children's song O Bright Moon. The Voice of Nation Saving increased its output to 16 hours a day after the merger, broadcasting on 1053 kHz medium wave and 3480, 4400, 4450 and 4557 kHz from 2000 to 2200, 0300 to 0700 and 1000 to 1700 UTC. It was also on 4120 kHz from 1000 to 1700 and on 6010 kHz from 1000 to 1400. Because the Voice of Nation Saving also shared facilities with North Korea's external service, on occasion it broadcast Radio Pyongyang by mistake. In November 1990, it was confirmed that the station had changed its name to its proper grammatical form, The Voice of National Salvation. The Voice of National Salvation favoured reunification of Korea from the North Korean point of view. The station's transmitters were believed to be in North Korea. Later in its life, during summertime in South Korea, programs were 1 hour earlier than the usual schedule of 0300 to 0600 hours and 2000 to 2300 hours on 4557, 4450, 3480 and 1053 kHz, as well as 1000 to 1630 hours on the same frequencies plus 4120 kHz. Broadcasts were always in Korean. The National Salvation Front published a bi-weekly newsletter in English. This political group operated the Voice of National Salvation, so it's obvious that North Korea was behind this one. 2003 saw an announcement that North Korea would stop its anti-South Korean propaganda broadcasts that the radio station had aired for decades. North Korea announced on July the 29th that year that it would cease transmissions, and on July the 30th it requested South Korea to stop Seoul's broadcasts to the north to reciprocate its measure. The request came in a telephone message sent by the leader of the North Korean delegation to the Inter-Korean ministerial talks. The station disappeared for good on August 1st, 2003. North Korea also sponsored a station directed to South Korea that openly supported the North Korean government and advocated for the reunification of the Korean peninsula under the leadership of North Korea. The Pyongyang branch of the anti-imperialist National Democratic Front transmitted from 0755 to 1405 and 2155 to 0400 hours on 3480, 4450 and 4557 kHz in Korean. The transmissions were almost always jammed. The station did QSL direct and it disappeared in early 2011. The South Korean government operates two stations directed to North Korea, both transmit via South Korea. Echo of Hope is a clandestine station run by the South Korean National Intelligence Service aimed at North Korea. Echo of Hope introduced themselves as the General Union of Overseas Compatriots, basically North Koreans who escaped from the DPRK. Echo of Hope has been on the air since June 1973 and can be heard on multiple frequencies from multiple transmitter sites. It was previously known as the Voice of Reunification, and reception reports sent to the Korean Broadcasting System have been verified. The second of these stations is the Voice of the People, which has been active since June 1985. It broadcasts from two sites in Gyeonggi-do, South Korea. Broadcasts are strictly in the Korean language with the identification, "This is the voice of the people coming to you from Pyongyang." Voice of the People and Echo of Hope are on the air daily, broadcasting a constant stream of news and information to an audience in North Korea. Radio jamming on the Korean peninsula makes the reception of most radio signals hard, especially in the medium wave broadcast band where jamming is almost constant in the areas surrounding Seoul and the DMZ. The South Korean government constantly jams most radio broadcasts from North Korea on medium wave. According to the National Security Act in South Korea, it's illegal to tune into or publish frequencies of North Korean broadcasts, although South Korean citizens aren't punished for listening to these broadcasts in private. However, public listening and distribution of recordings of an anti-government organisation, namely North Korea, are serious criminal offences. A network of jamming transmitters in Seoul and the surrounding areas operate on the same frequencies as the North Korean radio broadcasts and blast warbling or chugging jamming sounds in an attempt to prevent their citizens from hearing radio broadcasts from the north. The jamming effectively prevents casual listeners from receiving the medium-wave North Korean programs. However, shortwave reception of the programming is easily achieved without any jamming interference across South Korea. On the other side, North Korea jams South Korean state broadcasts and any foreign shortwave broadcast stations which it believes operates with the intention to destabilize the regime. These include the Korean language service of the Voice of America, Free North Korea Radio, Radio Free Asia, and several other services and broadcasts, and you can find out more on jamming in my other video in the description below. Since the North Korean authorities continue to jam these overseas private radio broadcasts dedicated to North Korean people, it's important to come up with some countermeasures against the interference. The most common option is to simply change frequencies, but this sometimes poses a challenge to listeners who have to find out where the station has moved to. The new frequencies, however, are usually close enough that anyone tuning into the old one will hear the station and be able to slightly readjust for a clear reception. North Korea doesn't jam any commercial South Korean television or radio broadcasts, however some state-owned channels are jammed. The type of jamming on shortwave is described as jet plane noise, which makes it very difficult to hear radio broadcasts. Join me in the next instalment as we look at pirate radio smuggling in North Korea and what happens to those unfortunate enough to be caught listening to foreign broadcasts.